you got to be a person of your word. You got to do what you say you're going to do, and you got to over deliver. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I will say that we're all human. There's been many times I can think of where I dropped the ball. And anytime I've dropped the ball, I say, hey, I dropped the ball. How can I make this better? And that's really important, is owning up to your mistakes and doing what you can to fix them.
So we're going to talk about health and happiness and wealth and all the good stuff that comes along with it. But I know that that you said, I heard you say one time, you said we need more passion in this world. We need more people willing to put it all on the line, make big dreams come true. We need more people like you. What does that mean to you? Like, why did you say that, and what does that really mean to you?
That's a good question. So I honestly feel like the world is behind on evolution and advancements in a lot of areas. And I think that has a lot to do with the people that are meant to carry out these advancements are too scared to actually put it all on the line and make these changes and be a leader. There's a lot of fear around that and uncertainty. So yeah, that's what I meant by that.
And so let's kind of back up a little bit. I want to, you are a branding specialist. You're you do everything, content, design. You're even a carpenter. I mean, how about that for something on resume? And so you've helped so many brands, but I really want to start off a little bit with your childhood, and go a little bit further back, and just want to know about, what were you like when you were a little kid? I mean, were you always creative? Were you always trying to, were you always painting and drawing and trying to build things? Was that you?
Yeah, so I was really quiet as a kid. I would sit back and watch everybody. I didn't start talking till I was 3 or 4, actually. So my parents thought something was wrong with me, but I just wanted to observe and watch. I love to people watch, and that's how I learn. As far as like creativity, that was pulled out of me out of necessity because we didn't have a lot of toys or things to play with as a kid. So I would just make things, make up games. I made a teeter totter when I was about 5 or 6 for me and my sister to play on. So just being creative came out of a necessity, really.
And did, like, who got you on that road to spirituality? Because I know that you're obviously God, and faith plays a huge piece of in your life. Who led you to that?
So we always grew up in church as children. My parents always brought us to church every Sunday. Me and my sisters actually sang on the church choir for many years. And I kind of fell away from God and religion for a long time once my mom passed away. I just thought God must not be real. I prayed to him. I thought a miracle was going to happen, and I lost her. So it must not be real. And I just started doing my own thing and not praying, not believing. And God kind of chased me down with sign after sign. I'm trying not to cry right now, but I'm really thankful that he did.
What happened, and how old were you?
Um, so when my mom passed away, I was 20 years old. And that was kind of like my first experience as an adult. And I was just a little bit lost and unsure of what to do or what to believe in, because everything I had believed in up until that point felt fake because I lost her. And then when my son was born, that is when everything changed for the better. And God started really showing me signs through my son as well, which I think children are such a miracle for that reason. But I was around 24, 25 when I kind of had no other choice but to turn back to God. You hit rock bottom, and who else can you turn to? There's no one else around. So I started asking God, just show me what to do. I obviously have nothing to lose. God, show me what to do and how to do it, and I'll be there for it.
Do you think that a lot of people go through that, and that feeling of, is this real? Is God real? Why is this happening to me? Uh, do a lot of people feel like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of smart people also question religion and Christianity because analytical thinkers can't understand the why behind it or the how does it work. So growing up in church, I used to think people were faking it when they would start crying in church or going up to the altar to pray. I used to be like, oh my gosh, they're putting on a show for everybody. But as I matured in my faith, I realized how powerful it really is.
And is this something that you're raising your son to believe in as well? I mean, is this, do you guys attend church often?
I don't go to church every Sunday. I've yet to find a church that I love, and I'm not a huge fan of churches, as crazy as that sounds. I love God, I love Jesus Christ. I don't always love the church, but I think that's something I'm still working through to figure out where I feel at home when it comes to all of that. But yeah, me and my son, we pray multiple times a day together. We talk about God all day long together. He has questions all the time about it, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability, but I'm still learning and growing in my faith as well. So we research things together.
And I resonate with that a lot because I felt the same way, throughout a lot of my life. I felt like church wasn't I didn't feel like I had to go to church to be connected with God. I always felt like I was connected with God. I always talked to God like he was my friend, like he was, I always tried to be close to him. I tried to make sure I included him in my life. I talked to him. I prayed every single day. So there's no question God has always been a part of my life. But the church thing, it never, I felt like I never needed to go to church. And then I started to think, and I've had these thoughts, and maybe give me your thoughts about it, but I've had these thoughts over the last several years, thinking that it's the connection with the people inside the church that I think is so critical. And also I've been studying, of course, longevity. I'm going to live till 120 at least. And Amen. So I've always studied longevity and health and things like that. And one of the most important things when it comes to health, so not only just being in a circle of spiritual people is good for us, but health-wise, being a part of a circle, being a part of a social situation is just so healthy for us. And so, but I do get what you're talking about, and I always felt that way too. And so, but when you think about your journey into your field, and obviously being a creative, you are a creative. This was inevitable, right? I mean, you had to do something creative in your life. I mean, this is what fuels you. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always said I would be an artist when I was little, and my dad used to say, artists don't make money. Don't be an artist, choose a different career. So I started saying I wanted to be an architect. But I really wanted to prove him wrong that artists can make money. And so I had to get creative with how I used my love for art. And that is when I fell into branding. Well, graphic design first, which led me to branding.
And so how did you learn how to do the things that you're doing? I mean, what makes you the expert? Why should people listen to you? Maybe talk about some friends that you've worked with, and maybe how you've influenced them in a good way.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so because I was such an observer as a child, I always wanted to understand the mind as well. So I had that creative side, but I love psychology. And I was homeschooled most of my life growing up. So we had lots of college level psychology books and science books. And I would study the psychology side of the brain and also compare it to what I would notice other companies are doing online with the colors that they're using, or the keywords that they're saying, or the repetitiveness of their tagline, so on and so forth. So just understanding the psychology behind the design was really interesting to me. And I noticed that not a lot of designers talked about that. This was long before the rise of social media. And then when social media and Instagram became a big thing, I found so many people that preached about psychology and design. And I was like, oh, they get it. They understand this is a thing. So I'm not just crazy. So I love infusing the psychology side of things. As far as the clients that I've worked with, so I've worked with so many different types of clients, big corporations, personal brands. One of the big names that most people might know of is Brad Lee. He's been a client of mine for 5 or 6 years now, and he sends me a lot of his colleagues. So that's always been an amazing connection to have. And I always say that over delivering for your clients is the key, because then they'll send their friends to you.
So people want to use you over and over and over again because you get it done, right? I mean, you got to be a person of your word. You got to do what you say you're going to do, and you got to over deliver. Yeah,
absolutely. But I will say that we're all human. There's been many times I can think of where I dropped the ball. And anytime I've dropped the ball, I say, hey, I dropped the ball. How can I make this better? And that's really important, is owning up to your mistakes and doing what you can to fix them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well said, well said. And why is it that I mean, do you think that I mean, I don't know, you've dealt with a lot of people throughout the years, and you know, you've dealt with managers and people and associates. Do you feel like, because you say that with such certainty, you got to own up when you make a mistake? Do you feel like a lot of people don't own up for their mistakes and they probably should?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I've also noticed a lot of times as a service provider, the finger gets pointed at you all the time for the mistake. And I sometimes have to just eat that and say, you know what, you're right. Even though I notice other people miss the ball too, I'll take it, I'll eat it, I'll accept it, and I'll do better. And that's been a huge learning lesson for me the last 3 or 4 years, is just owning up to it, even when I don't feel like it was my fault. How can I make it better?
If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here.